Welcome back to another episode of the KarterKast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. On today's episode, Dylan, he has his power rankings, top 5 teams in college football. I don't know how many people are going to like your power rankings today. I do my top 5 college football quarterbacks. We talk about the fakest 3-0 teams in college football. We preview all the big games this week in college football. And stay tuned to the very end because we do score predictions and we give our KarterKast Week 4 college football parlay. Dylan, let's get into the show right now. Let's get into the show today. 3-0 teams that are fake. It can be 2-0, undefeated teams. So the fakest 3-0 or 2-0 team this season in college football. We'll get right into it. Dylan, who is your fakest undefeated team in college football this season?
Yeah, fakest undefeated team. We talked about it before we started recording. Very tough because the 3-0, 2-0, we're going into week 4. A lot of teams that haven't lost.
A lot of teams.
They're eating the dogs. Kentucky almost ate the dogs, by the way. I wanted to get that joke out there. Almost ate the dogs.
We had the edit ready to go.
We had it ready, and they freaking blew it. Fakest undefeated team, Ohio State. MAC champions. They're MAC champions, guys. Week 1 against Akron, they played a close game in the first half. I will say Western Michigan is, in my opinion, top-tier MAC team. They handled their business there, and then they get a week 3 bye. Convenient. And then they play Marshall. So we haven't seen them be tested yet. There are issues with the offensive line we've seen with just playing these MAC teams. And if Chip Kelly is going to want to run the ball, you're going to have to show me something. These week 3 returns, I'm not seeing it against these MAC teams. So, and we touched on Ohio State. Some of these acquisitions, Quinshon Judkins has been good. Caleb Downs still not bought in. Fakest undefeated team, Ohio State. Play a real team. Michigan's out here playing Texas.
You play who's in front of you. Play who's in front of you, Dylan. Come on.
Well, that's fair.
Play the hits, Dylan.
But you also know, like, you're going to go cupcakes all the way until you get to Big Ten play? I mean, come on.
It's Coach K-ball.
No, it's actually Jim Harbaugh ball.
No,
yeah,
that's
I was going to say it's Michigan last year.
Yeah, it's Michigan last year. They didn't play anybody.
Okay. So last year, Bowling Green, Eastern Carolina, and who else?
Hawaii?
Hawaii was in that mix too.
Okay, that's fair. We have Texas this year. I mean, did we just schedule that game once Harbaugh left, or is that? I mean, what are we doing there?
He knew he was gone. This Chargers thing was three-year plan.
All right. I want to remind everybody the year, I think 21, we played Washington, and you booked these games year in advance. We booked that when Washington was in the playoff in 2016. Just saying, you can't tell how good a team is going to be in 5 years, but with the MAC, you can. Ohio State, fakest undefeated team.
Connor.
I'm going to go Oklahoma here, and I think they're going to. Yeah,
I think they're going
to. That's a very good pick.
Well, I think they're going to get humbled this weekend with Tennessee. And you look at Oklahoma this year, and yes, they're undefeated right now, but man, they had a couple close games. The Houston game they probably should have lost. The Tulane game was very unconvincing at the end, especially the final score. I feel like it's not indicative of how close that game actually was. And I think once Oklahoma starts playing the SEC caliber opponents, aka Tennessee, this weekend, I think it's going to be a wake up call. So my answer is Oklahoma.
Yeah, we'll get into that preview, but I have real concerns with the Oklahoma team. They're also my pick, too, because why on earth are the Oklahoma Sooners the 15th ranked team? The only reason they're the 15th ranked team in this country is for TV ratings. They can say,
Brand.
number 6 versus number 15, prime time, Saturday night in Norman, Oklahoma. That's the only reason they're the 15th ranked team. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to me. They barely beat a bottom dweller Big 12 Houston team at home. And then you talk about the Tulane game, the score lied. Yeah, the score lied. They were up 24-0, and they gave up the 24-0 lead. It was 21-24 in the third quarter. They gave it up in no time. So I agree with you. I think Oklahoma is one of the fakest 3-0 teams, but I can go a different route here. I'm going to go the Duke Blue Devils. I think it's clear this team is not a good 3-0 team, and Malik Murphy is not a great quarterback. You can say, he looks great. He's got abs, Ben. He's got what you want.
He does.
He's beautiful.
Like 6'5". Yeah.
6'5", abs, beautiful looking quarterback. That's about it, though. I'm not impressed with what I've seen from Malik Murphy. You look at their schedule. They played Elon at Northwestern and UConn. They go to overtime with Northwestern, tried everything to blow that game, and then barely beat UConn at home, barely. I mean, they had to squeak that one out. They get to play Middle Tennessee this week, so they're going to be 4-0, and Carolina's going to be 4-0 going into their matchup. It's going to be two undefeated teams, Duke, Carolina, and neither one will be ranked.
Can't wait.
Because they've played such bad teams. So Duke's my
Rivalry.
pick for the Fakest undefeated team. Ben.
Cool. I'm going to go with Arizona State. This team is 3-0, and they probably won't make a bowl. This is a bad team. This is a bad team.
Can I go counterpoint?
It is.
Can I go counterpoint?
Yeah.
Texas State's pretty good.
Yeah, Texas State's not that bad.
Is Mississippi
State's
State
bad.
any good?
Yeah, they're bad. They're
I
bad.
think Mississippi State's. I think that's worse. And you look at the schedule going forward. Not to be a schedule guy, but the only winnable games like that I see on the schedule are at Texas Tech, at Cincinnati, and those are road games. Like I'm not sure if they get those. They've still got BYU. They've got Arizona, Kansas State, UCF, Oklahoma State, Utah, Kansas. Like
Yeah, that's tough schedule. That's tough schedule.
They have to win. They have to win 3 of those games to go bowling. I don't see it. Like I think probably 5 and 7 is what we're looking at for them. And like if you're talking about a team that's undefeated and they probably won't make a bowl game like that, that's a good Fakest. Duke's in that category too.
I think Duke might sneak into a bowl game because their non-conference is just 4-0. That's the problem there. I think they go 6-6, but this team's not 8-9 wins. I would be floored. Honestly, they're probably 5-7 team if we're being 100% honest. Ben, how bad did you want to take BYU right there?
I wanted to pretty bad, but like I think they're better than Arizona State, so I couldn't do it.
That's fair.
Yep. All right.
Karter.
Those are the Fakest 3-0 teams. Go ahead.
NC State got to be mentioned.
They're not 3-0.
Nope. Tennessee.
Oh wait, no, they lost to
Dog
Tennessee.
Yeah,
walk.
Sorry.
fat
I was just
dogs.
thinking overrated teams. That's
They
on me.
are overrated. Oh, I'm hoping CJ Bailey can save us. We'll touch on that game at the very end of the
Our
show.
futures are looking bleak, Carter.
Oh my gosh. Not all our futures.
One person had an NC State as the most overrated team in the ACC. I don't remember who it was, but there was one person.
One of us had Florida State.
That was a good one too. That was good. That was good.
One of us had Miami, and the underrated team was SMU. And they had Preston Stone as the number 2 quarterback.
He's already benched.
Let's wipe that preview from the internet. We'll get that. Let's get that wiped. Get tech team on that.
Can we do the NFC South preview? Get that wiped as well too. Call it PR firm. All right. Let's move on. I wanted to do this today. This will be a weekly segment now. Dylan's top 5 power rankings in college football. He's going to rank his top 5 teams in college football. It's not going to be AP poll, all this stuff. No, it's going to be Dylan's. He thinks his 5 best teams in college football in order. So, Dylan, go ahead.
Carter, you've given me too much power. You sent me this text yesterday, and I said, I know what you want. I'll give it to you, buddy. I'll give it to you. You want 1 to 5 or you want 5 to 1?
5 to 1.
5 to 1. Granted, let's keep in mind, week 4. This is a fluid situation. It could change. Number 5, I'm going Tennessee. And I'm going Tennessee solely because we have seen this defense take the step that it's needed to take in years past. Heupel takes over. The fast offense has been a staple. But now the defense is stepping up. It's actually their highest graded unit in PFF. I don't know when's the last time we could have said that about a Tennessee team. Are we doing feedback here? Or just go straight through.
You go straight through. We'll talk about it as a whole.
Number 4, Alabama. And I think Alabama is rated 4. This is a team. Jalen Milroe has been exciting. Granted, they've played Western Kentucky. They were close with USF. They started to pull away. And then they beat a Tyler Van Dykeless Wisconsin team. But it was in Wisconsin. Even though it wasn't a night game, Camp Randall's still a difficult place to play. I love what I'm seeing from Milroe and this Alabama team early on. Real test against my number 3 team in 2 weeks, Georgia. Guys,
Really?
What are we doing here? That Kentucky game was awful. And Stoops and Kentucky have always played Georgia close, but and Georgia's defense stood up when it needed to. But the way Kentucky was moving the ball early in that game, I know this Georgia defense is like the staple, but it was concerning. Number 2, Texas probably have the best win on the schedule or in college football right now. It's no matter who you plug in at quarterback, you have Quinn Ewers, you have Arch Manning. That's dangerous when you have a guy like Arch Manning that has now proven that he can perform and he doesn't have the jitters. He looked great last week. Texas, number 2. Number 1, Oregon. Guys,
No.
Guys, this is a team that has top returning production. Sure, they laid eggs against Idaho and Boise State. A good Boise State team that will probably be the at-large in the college football playoff. Have Heisman candidate Jonty. I've always messed his name up. Jonty. Ashton Jeanty.
Thank.
Dylan Gabriel, 355 total yards, 3 total touchdowns, a massive run against Oregon State. We saw them play a Power 5 team, and they stepped it up. And I think that's what we're going to see the rest of the way from Oregon. You can sleepwalk through those first two, but when it mattered, when the competition was actually competent, they turned it on, and they blew out Oregon State. In Corvallis.
Oregon State, not Power 4.
Well, yeah. Cut me some slack here. You know what I'm saying.
Also,
not Group of 5.
Oregon being the number 1 ranked team in the country, when you're like, oh, yeah, Texas has the best win.
Well,
I have a caveat.
It's a
for
power
this, Dylan.
rankings.
Embrace
Is
debate.
this top 5 based on what we've seen through 3 weeks, or top 5 based on how you think they're going to do the rest of the year?
What we've seen through 3 weeks. Well, it's a mix of both. And that's the thing. You want to question the Wilkerson ratings. It's like, well, the ratings are mine. So it's, I can change it however I want.
Nobody wants to
It's
see
the
how the sausage is made. Yeah.
It's the Big Cat power rankings. Like, why is so and so here? And he just sends the screenshot and then just the
Because
picture.
I said so.
Yeah,
Fluid. This is a situation. Alabama, Georgia are going to play. That's going to figure itself out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So notice Missouri, Ohio State, and Penn State. None of those teams made the cut.
Ole Miss also not
Ole
in there.
Miss.
So
Ole Miss is the one I wanted to mention.
Can I go next 4 out?
Sure.
Can I go next 4 out? I have number 6. I have Ole Miss. Number 7. I have Boston College. Number 8.
We might need to cancel these.
Number 8, I have Indiana. Number 9, I have Missouri. And that's my next 4 out.
Dylan, you're gonna lose this credibility for the podcast if we put out Boston College number 7.
What are
you talking about? They played Missouri to the end. They're 2 not Nick Castellanos. They're 2 Thomas Castellanos interceptions away from winning that game.
If you're 2 Nick Castellanos home runs away from something horrible is about to happen to you.
Yeah.
2 Nick Castellanos home runs?
Yikes.
Holy crap,
Yikes.
dude. The country's going into civil war. World War III's happen if Nick Castellanos hits 2 home runs.
I understand people are going to – I can already hear the outrage. I do have Ohio State top 25. So I want to get that out of the way.
You're a saint.
I want to get that out of the way. People are going to say, where's Ohio State? You got to – MAC champions. Congratulations. But you got to play a real team.
Man. No, I
love
just love imagining these Dylan power rankings being like, it's just the first college football playoff. Like, they just released that. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, imagine Dylan goes like 11 for 12 on like playoff predictions, and we're all sitting here like, how the hell did he do that?
This guy knows
Crap,
ball.
Ohio State actually missed the playoff?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
24th.
Okay, I take it back. I slotted in Missouri at 9, Miami 9.
Oh, okay.
I gotta change that.
Oh, yeah.
Can't
Miami,
lose the credibility. I forgot Miami.
can't have Indiana over Miami, or can't have Miami over Indiana. That would be really bad.
Indiana's going to beat Ohio State. I hope we all know that, right? We talked about it on the Big Ten show. We don't need to cover it. But Indiana's a great team.
All right.
So what are the qualms? No one really. Ole Miss.
Oregon's not the number 1 team in the country, especially even through 3 weeks and even going forward. There's clear holes in that team that. And you're going to say that Texas is the best team in this country through 3 weeks, definitely. And I think that's going to continue going forward because you look at this Texas team, they have the talent and they really just have the talent of a Georgia team, and they went into Ann Arbor and punched Michigan in the throat. They were a much more physical team than them. And why would Texas not be the number 1 team in this country right now?
I would say the top 3 that I have, it's a fluid situation, interchangeable. Georgia, Texas, Oregon. That I would be okay with anybody switching those 3 around. I think you can make a case for Ole Miss in the top 5, obviously Miami in the top 5. Fluid. We're fluid here.
And I picked Ohio State to win the national title and everything, but I do think you do have a fair point where it's like, okay, I'm doing these power rankings. I haven't seen Ohio State play anybody, which is a fair point.
Factors into the Wilkerson ratings, doesn't it?
A lot of people are going to forget that Jeremiah Smith missed past like 3 yards in the flat first snap against Akron. So, and I think that's something.
Yeah, rightfully so, because then he's going to have 200 yards against Michigan.
You want to look at the flashy touchdowns. I think it's you can make the explosive plays, but when you need to make the easy one,
Like Colston
And
Loveland.
when you're hosting Michigan, tied game, last drive, you just need a 3-yard catch to extend fourth quarter. Can you trust Jeremiah Smith to make the catch? We haven't seen anything that says yes.
As someone who has a lot of Oregon stock from the preseason, I'm not out on them at all. But Dylan, I can't put them anywhere near the top 5 right now.
That's fair. Why?
Because, like we said with the schedule, they've struggled against bad teams. And you want to talk about strength of schedule? Well, we need to talk about how they've looked while going undefeated. Because some of these other teams, like Ole Miss, or you had Tennessee up there, or Miami, I would put all of those above Oregon at this moment. Now, Oregon might be better as the season progresses, and in 2 months we might come back to this and be like, man, Dylan was right. Oregon looks great right now. But from what I've seen going off 3 weeks, there's no way Oregon's in my top 5. Can't be.
So it's a philosophical difference, and I would have to look into this. But we have had this, like, you're right. Tennessee has blown out their competition. I mean, absolutely destroyed. They've been really efficient. But then you have, I don't doubt that there are coaches out there. There are some teams that are just like, these first 2 games, they're cupcakes. I wouldn't even say Boise State's a cupcake, if we're being completely honest. And
No.
it's just get through. It's just win the game, and then when it matters, when you play the Ohio States, which top 25, when you play the Michigans or whatever, that's when you turn it on. And it's like, we don't need to exhaust all of our resources in the first 3 games of the year.
So you're saying Tennessee's frauds? I'm
saying, you know what? I don't know what I'm saying. Right? Clip it, send it out there. People are going to have a heyday.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
It really is just like some coaches might want to use that opportunity to put the pedal to the metal and, push on the gas and blow out these teams. Some coaches might say, you know what? We don't need to do that. We need to save this for when the games actually matter. And maybe Lanning's the latter and Heupel's the first. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like, right, let's try something. Let's try stuff. Let's experiment here.
You sure? Yeah.
Look, I have no doubt, based off the performance, I don't think they're in that group, but I have no problems if you're like, I think they will be a top 5 team when it's all said and done.
Yeah. I think
no
that's
reservations with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't think they're going to be. I'm not a Dylan Gabriel guy.
We know. Trust me, we know.
Just not a Dylan guy in general.
Yeah, you hate the name Dylan. That's
hating
the parlay, curse the parlay.
Yeah. All right.
Inside KarterKast.
Yep. Well, someone put Michigan and the Titans in the parlay, so
you're in for a rude awakening this week, buddy. That's all I got to say.
Fantastic. Malik Willis is going to get a revenge game against the Titans. Anyhow, let's move on. I'm going to do top 5 quarterbacks. I'm curious to see if Dylan has any qualms with these. So, all right, here are my top 5 quarterbacks 3 weeks into college football right now. Number 5, I have Shedeur Sanders. Hate or love Shedeur Sanders, he is the only reason Colorado has won a single game this season. If Shedeur Sanders is not the quarterback for Colorado, they have an average quarterback. They're an 0-3 team, and they might go 0-12 in college football this season. He is so good, but I understand you can hate or love him. He's fantastic. Number 4, I actually have Quinn Ewers here. I have Quinn Ewers at 4. I think he's awesome. I think he's fantastic. Backup now.
We don't need backup.
I think he's fantastic. I think he's awesome, but the health is a concern, and I just think these other guys have just outdone him, really. There's a tie here because number 3 is Carson Beck. I think Carson Beck in that Clemson game showed me so much. Yes, he struggled against Kentucky. Weird game. That's fine. Guess what? He's so good. He's probably going to end up being the number 1 or number 2 pick with Quinn Ewers. Anyhow, I'm going Carson Beck at number 3. Number 2, I have Jackson Dart. You look at the stats, he's averaging 1 billion yards a game, and that Ole Miss offense is probably first or second best in the country right now, solely because of Jackson Dart. And number 1, I have Cam Ward. There's no reason I shouldn't put Cam Ward as the best quarterback through 3 weeks in college football right now. He's got some of the best stats, and also you watch that Florida game, he has completely changed this Miami team. You look at the Miami team of last year, and you're saying, oh my gosh, they're not even a bowl team. And then Cam Ward comes in. Now you're sitting here thinking, how is Miami not going to go undefeated this year? That's how good Cam Ward is. That's my top 5. I think it's fair. The only one I wish I would have probably – the biggest problem I had was Beck Ewers. Otherwise, I don't think I had any problems.
Figuring out the order?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Cam Ward at 1 is probably the right answer, Carter. Just the calmness he brings to Miami and that the control of the line of scrimmage, you look at last year, just up and down, you don't know what to expect off the wall. Here comes a pick, here comes a turnover play, something like that. Cam Ward comes to the line of scrimmage, and you're like, here comes a good throw on the run. Here comes a dart. Here comes a read option to the left, and we're going to pick up 8 yards. So I love that. The only pushback I would have is we're not no like Nico love yet. None of that. I agree with leaving out Milrow. I agree with leaving out
because
Will
I don't
Howard.
think
I think
Nico.
that's the right choice.
I don't think Nico looked all that great against NC State. I think that was the defense in the run game that dominated NC State.
That's fair.
As a caveat to that, I would say he didn't have to look great. He
That's
wasn't
fair,
asked
too.
to do, he didn't have to do anything.
Which
I
is
think that's
also
fine.
100% fair.
And Nico's
yeah.
also what? I mean, he's his first year starting full year, so like I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
PFF would say it would be like Jake Retzlaff or Thomas Castellanos in that top 5, but you know.
So I want to point out some qualms, and I want to give you credit. Your list, the bottom 3, 5 through 3, you have PFF rating 6, PFF rating 21, PFF rating 46 in terms of passer rating, PFF passer rating. So we could start the narrative that Karter is anti-data and just watches the games and is just eye test. But then you look at your top 2, Ward's number 1 and Dart's number 2 in PFF pass rating. So you gave us a good little hybrid here. Clarify, is this from what you've seen, or is it a mix of both?
It's a little bit mix of both. It's more so from what I've seen.
Because at that point, when you say it's what you've seen, I think that is where you can leave Nico out, right? You can leave some of these young guys out.
Oh, by the end of the season, Nico could be 2 on this list.
And 100%. And that's, we talked about, the NC State game. He didn't look great. He didn't really have to do anything. And he has absolutely demolished the cupcakes they have on their schedule. And we're going to talk about it with Tennessee, Oklahoma, but you can pose the question, when push comes to shove, you need a big throw from Nico. Is he going to be able to deliver? And that's something we'll figure out as we go. But Nico would be one that would be on my list. I understand you absolutely hate Dylan Gabriel. You hate Dylan's, so I know why he's not on your list, but he would be up there for me. And obviously I love Castellanos. Can't include him in top 5, but he is very exciting as well.
All right. We got through that.
Ben,
who's your
Ben, nothing about Calandria?
No.
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 He can't
Okay.
convert
All
a
right.
third down to save his life.
Okay. That's fair.
Carter,
That's fair.
did you end up gambling on that game?
Maryland, Virginia? No, I stayed
Yeah.
away. I'm so happy.
All right.
I was so proud of
Proud of you.
myself. We were it was like I texted you the other night. It was like Bears Texans, like, guys, I wanted to take the over. And then I was like, you know what? No, I probably shouldn't. It was Virginia, Maryland all day. I'm looking at that line. I'm like, I just want to take Virginia money line. I'm like, no. This is when you back off. This is when you back off and you get back in the well next week against Coastal Carolina.
My God.
Anyhow, I'll start with you, Ben. Who's your Heisman 3 weeks in?
It is my Heisman.
Yes.
Not like who is the Heisman, who's my Heisman.
I think that would be the same question I'm asking.
Okay.
Well,
I'm gonna
no, I see what you're saying. It's like, oh, my Heisman is Virginia's wide receiver. 'cause he's
Yeah.
awesome.
No,
Something
he's-
like that.
he's not gonna win, but I'm going Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's me. Because I mean, if you look at the stats, like he has 45 carries for 459 yards. He's running for
Yeah,
over
that's
10
absurd.
yards a carry. Just insanity. And it's not like he's doing them against nobodies. Like, these stats include against Oregon, who, no matter what we think of them, is like still a top 10 team. He's someone that I'm hoping, like, for the sake of just college football, I think the running back for Boise State winning the Heisman would just be good for college football. Like, we need, like, a refresher, like, not just the
Mac
best.
Jones.
Not just, yeah.
And even if
Well,
he
it
didn't win.
ended up being Devontae Smith, which was
Yeah.
also good for football. But, like, just having other skill position players. I'm a big fan of when defensive players are in the mix. Like, I wanted Ndamukong Suh and Manti Te'o to win. It's just Ashton Genty, like, he wouldn't be in the conversation except the stats are just so absurd that so far I have to go with him. Is he going to win it? No. Does he have a very strong argument to be the Heisman? Yes. I think him and Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, like, as of right now, those would be the 3 that are, like, in New York, right? Those 3. And I'm going to go Ashton Genty. He is my Heisman, even though I don't think he will win it.
Connor.
I'm going Cam Ward. I'm sticking to it. Preseason, we were on Cam Ward. I think it's the right answer. Dylan mentioned it with the numbers. He's number 1 in PFF right now. You look at some of the normal stat numbers. 11-1 touchdown interception ratio. Only been sacked twice in 3 games. Yes, 2 of those games have been against subpar opponents. But being sacked twice in 3 games, as opposed to what we saw at Washington State during his last few years there, I think it's a big difference. Has to be mentioned. You look at his yards as well. 300 yards in every game. He's not even playing full games. Like, he's out there just toying with them. It's like backyard football sometimes, but
He's
he's
played
still
like 9 quarters.
Yeah, and he still brings that calmness, though, that we're not used to seeing in the Miami Hurricanes program. And to take a program like that, which in the preseason, Ben brought up some good points where it's like, it's Miami. Are we sure we're going to trust them? And for Cam Ward to come in and make us trust Miami, I don't think that can be understated. That has to be mentioned. He's my Heisman through 3 weeks. He's been awesome.
I love it. I love it. And also going forward for his Heisman campaign, he's got a lot of easy games on his schedule, which the stats will look great, and the U's going to be back, and everyone's going to be bought into Miami. The only caveat to that, though, the only problem with that is that
ACC.
he's not going to be able to play in these big games like Quinn Ewers is against Georgia, or Carson Beck is against Texas, or Jackson Dart against Bama kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think it has to be mentioned as well with Cam Ward. He's in the ACC, 1. But number 2, he's also rode the line between having great numbers against bad teams, but not stat padding in the fourth quarter. Like, he hasn't played that much, but he still put up his numbers. And I think that's a good thing, because a lot of these players will be like, oh, I'm going to go put up 400 yards against School of the Blind. But Cam Ward's, like you said, played like 9 quarters of football, so we can't even say that.
Yep. Dylan.
Hard to argue with Cam Ward. Really hard to argue with Ashton Genty. Again, say it wrong every time.
Come on, Dylan. We just did this. We just got through this. It's Genty.
Genty.
I think it is Genty. Yeah.
Hard to argue with Ashton Genty.
There's no way.
I'm kidding.
There's actually no way.
I'm kidding. I got to go Jalen Milroe, right? I understand he hasn't played anybody. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the 6th highest passer rating right now, not PFF, just regular passer rating. I understand. Wisconsin's not an awful defense. They've played USF. They've played Western Kentucky. The guy has 14 total touchdowns. 6 of those are rushing. That's the makeup that you're going to have of a Heisman candidate. You add in the high leverage games next week, technically next week against Georgia. Like, he is going to have opportunities to go on the biggest stage and prove himself. And to this point, he has proven that he is the dual threat that we've seen from Jaden Daniels, Heisman winners of the past. So that's my Heisman right now. I understand he's been in low-profile situations, no turnovers, which is extremely impressive. You look at this list, you have it's very hard to find guys that haven't thrown an interception. Even Cam Ward has one. Now, granted, that was week 1, but yeah, Jalen Milroe's done it for me. He has the rush threat. He has the deep ball threat, over 12 yards ADOT, and I think that's something that people are going to be interested in when voting for Heisman.
I think that's fair, and I think the stats are definitely there to back up Jalen Milroe. My issue with Jalen Milroe is when it's 3rd and 8, can he make the throw to the sticks? Because he can throw it 80 yards down the field. It's either 80 yards down the field or a screen pass or run. He can't make those intermediate throws.
Anthony Richardson special.
Do you think Heisman voters care that he can make the third down and 8 throw? They want the highlight throws down the field.
I understand that, but I think that's going to hurt him when Alabama loses those games to the Georgias and Ole Misses of the world, because he can't make that throw, and that's going to hurt his Heisman campaign. Because I feel like we do this thing every year where we keep flip-flopping where, okay, we want to go with the best player on the best team, and then we want to go best player. So like Jaden Daniels wins it one year, but he was probably the best player in college football last year. I just don't think the best player on the best team, like a Carson Beck, was good enough to warrant that, or J.J. McCarthy or Blake Corum had the stats. Yeah, had the stats to warrant winning the Heisman. But then you go back and you're like, oh, well, Devontae Smith wins it. Okay, great. So that's my problem there.
And that, to that point a little bit, like Jaden Daniels, 9-3, even if Jalen Milroe can't make these throws, right? They lose to Georgia. They lose these big games.
I understand.
It might not end up mattering.
I think it will matter because, yes, LSU went 9-3 last year, but you have to compare who was the best team last year. It was Michigan. Michigan didn't have the guys on their team to warrant the stats to win the Heisman.
So that's fair. That's fair, right? Let's go through Oregon. Let's say they end up being the top team. Anybody can Dylan Gabriel win Heisman?
Yes.
He would probably have the stats to back it up if they're the number 1 team.
That's fair. Texas. You have Quinn Ewers half the season. I don't know the extent of his injury. Let's say they split half and half. Arch Manning comes in. Do you think one of them's winning the Heisman?
That's the path right there.
No,
can they win it together, like both as one package?
Texas quarterback room. Heisman.
Yes.
That would be the funniest scenario is Arch Manning winning the Heisman.
But I'll tell you what, if college football is going to do that, it's going to be for Arch Manning. It's going to be with somebody with that last name. They'll be like, actually, asterisk, we're going to give half of the trophy to Arch Manning because he contributed to Texas as well. But The one thing I'll say, Dylan, about Milroe and why I would want to push back a little bit, through 3 weeks, that's a fine answer, what we've seen so far. I think, look at their schedule, Tennessee, Georgia, Missouri, LSU, Oklahoma. Those are 5 ranked teams. Some of them are a little fraudish, but those are 5 tough games. I think Alabama loses 2 or 3 of these games, and then all of a sudden Milroe's mistakes in those games or his lack of playmaking in those 3rd and 8 situations, that will get magnified. All of a sudden, when you're looking at the top of the Heisman race, you say, wait, Jalen Milroe laid an egg on national TV and lost to Georgia or whatever it is. So I think that narrative kind of goes against him, whereas Cam Ward doesn't have to play those teams, so he doesn't get that exposure. But I don't know. It's kind of like a give and take. Like, I feel like Milroe those mistakes could be magnified.
I think that's fair. You can add in the caveat, if Milroe can't lose games for this team in order for this to come to fruition. But like the point that Karter, you were making, we have Dylan Gabriel with Oregon. There's no one on Ohio State that's going to win Heisman. There's no one on you think Carson Beck's going to win Heisman?
Could.
I don't think he will.
I don't think he will.
So.
But because he has the games to do it. But
yeah,
we can.
So what I'm saying is, you have the top teams, right? And we touched on a couple of them. We really come away with being certain that Dylan Gabriel would be the only guy.
If depending on Quinn Ewers' injury, if Quinn Ewers is only out 1 week, he can win it.
Okay, that's fair. And I think that is kind of where I want to rest my point, is that this year might look similar to last year, where a exciting quarterback that you see the highlights of on ESPN, that of a team that goes 9-3 could be the Heisman winner. We also, Nico could come out of nowhere. Well, I shouldn't say come out of nowhere, but Nico looks good this week. Nico looks good against Georgia or whoever. He could be in this conversation too. So
Miller Moss could be in this conversation after this week.
Well, we could argue that they have not played a good defense yet, but that's just we'll get to that. We'll start previewing games here in a second. Cam Ward's my pick as well. Connor mentioned everything. I'm not going to repeat it. Cam Ward's my pick right there. So Cam Ward's my Heisman 3 weeks in. Let's preview some games, fellas. Let's preview some games. Let's start off. Let's go to the big house. Let's go to Ann Arbor. We're back. Last time we were here, Dylan, things did not go very well. USC is a 5.5-point favorite on the road in Michigan. Alex Orji is starting in this game on Saturday. Dylan, how let's do this again. What's Michigan's path to beating USC? Well, I think what we can get from Michigan is I don't see a way USC scores 10 points. I'm kidding. I made Carter spit out the water. There we go. No, listen. Okay, give me a minute here. I'm looking at the timer. We'll go Alex Orji. I'll give my analysis and I'll be done in a minute. Sharon Moore is the smartest, best college football head coach in college football because listen, last year, Florida State, Jordan Travis goes out. They don't make the playoffs. They go undefeated. They win the ACC. What's the argument? Anybody want to chime in? What's the argument for not letting Florida State in?
No quarterback.
Different team. And what did the College Football Playoff Committee say? They're a different team without Jordan Travis, right? Guys, Michigan's starting 0-0. This is brilliant. This is, if Alex Orji goes out here and lights it up, the College Football Playoff Committee has absolutely no option but to adhere to the status that they gave last year as to why Florida State didn't get in and say, well, since week 4, Michigan's a different team because they have a different quarterback. All-time coaching move by Sharon Moore. As for the game, the path to victory, it's looking bleak. This was a game I penciled in as a win. Miller Moss has looked great. They're coming off of a bye, which is an extremely difficult spot for Michigan to be in, having to play a team that's coming off the bye. USC has the 101st rated pass block unit in college football. That's make the day long for Miller Moss. Be breathing down his throat, pressure him, don't give him the time to throw the ball down the field. This USC defense looks much improved, and we knew it was going to happen once they got rid of Alex Grinch. I've gone over my minute. I'll wrap it up. I think Michigan keeps this close. I'm excited to see what we get with Alex Orji. All-time move. This Michigan team, 0-0. 0-0. It's a new season. Let's figure it out.
So you're saying USC's winning this football game?
No, Michigan wins.
Sticking to your guns. I like it.
Connor.
I'll be quick here, too. I actually, Dylan, last time we were here, I was on the Texas bandwagon with the rest of the show. I'm going with Michigan this weekend. I think Michigan actually has the tools to keep it close. 6 is way too many points. If you look at Miller Moss and USC, yes, they've been impressive, but that LSU win gets less and less impressive every week we go on in college football. And the other thing is USC hasn't seen a secondary or a D-line as good as Michigan has this year. Like you just said, their O-line is not awesome at pass blocking. They got to get to Miller Moss. They got to make him pressure. I, coming into the year, wasn't a huge Miller Moss guy, and I'm going to stand by that. Under Alex Orji, Michigan's probably going to run the ball 55 times. Control the line of scrimmage, control pace of the game, dominate time of possession. I think that's their path to victory, is a low-scoring game. And I'm not going to go like Dylan did last week where it's like, oh, USC's not going to go score 10 points. I realistically think with this Michigan offense under Alex Orji, they might have like 8, 9, 10-minute drives on this USC defense. Because I get it. The USC defenses look great so far. Who have they played? I mean, LSU is not looking as impressive, and then Utah State. So, yes, coming off a bye is a tough spot, but I think 6 is too many points at home. I can't see Michigan getting embarrassed at home twice in a row. I can't do it.
Okay, counterpoint. We talked about this in the Texas game. Why can't USC just load the box and it's run? They get a couple stops, and it's 3rd and 8. What is Michigan going to do? Because essentially Michigan only has 2 downs in this game, essentially.
Can I offer
Counter.
why are we so confident that Alex Orji is a worse passer than Davis Warren? Why is that?
That was my next point.
Why? We haven't seen the guy
fair.
throw.
I'm not saying that. That's fair.
This is and this isn't. I want to make a point here. Davis Warren, PFF rated number 35, probably the highest PFF rated quarterback to ever get benched. I want to throw that in there. But I agree with the decision.
Besides Bryce Young.
Yeah, Bryce Young's 32.
Jake Retzlaff next.
He's like 10. People are already it's like a foregone conclusion that Alex Orji just can't throw the football. Guys, we've never seen this guy throw the football. Maybe 10 times. He didn't throw the ball last year. He has 2 touchdown passes this year. Now, granted, when Orji comes in, you're expecting the run. You're not expecting a pass. So I give credence to that. But we don't know for sure that this guy's a worse passer than Davis Warren. And that's a tough benchmark to beat.
Question. If we don't know that he's a worse passer, why wasn't he the starter?
That's a great question. The only thing I can think of, the only thing I could think of is they wanted Michigan Minute. I'm sorry, they wanted Davis Warren to play the Cade McNamara role. Just don't turn the ball over. Be a game manager. Even J.J. McCarthy was a bit more explosive, but he turned the ball over, and Caden McNamara never had these problems ever. So that's the only thing I could think of. But now you're staring down the barrel of 2-2. You have to make a change. Davis Warren's throwing interceptions left and right. I mean, it's just free reign for these teams we're playing. I think that's why you have to make the change. You need a change of pace. Bringing the exciting guy. He has an arm. I guess the question is his accuracy. And we haven't seen anything that would lead us to say he's not accurate. He can't throw the ball. So I don't know.
Real quick.
I think the point to why we would say that is the coaching staff clearly doesn't trust him to throw the ball.
I think that's fair. I think that this coaching staff was thinking we could have the same formula as last year with a subpar offensive line, just run the ball and have a game manager, and the offensive line's not there.
Doesn't this just feel like one of those games? New quarterback, first week starting, everyone's out on Michigan, everyone saw the Texas blowout. This might be the time to buy low on Michigan. And that's coming from somebody who thinks they get 8 wins. But this is a spot against Miller Moss, a little bit inexperienced USC team. I think Michigan might just come out and just run it down their throats, even if they pack the box. Or Alex Orji has an outlier performance that we don't see the rest of the year. But this is the one game where he goes crazy for 250 yards passing or something. This would be the week for that.
I don't know. I think Michigan's path to winning this game is they have to score first and have to score early. Michigan is not a team that can fall behind this season. If Michigan falls behind, they're toast. We've seen this already, Dylan. We
had the same conversation last year. We had the same conversation.
And guess what? Michigan always had the lead.
Yeah, I guess.
Michigan has to have the lead in these games the way they play, and because then they're forced to eventually throw the ball, and when they throw the ball, they get into trouble. That's the problem. And if they score early, and I think we're going to see a trick play on drive number 1 out of Michigan.
Yep, 100%.
Run the ball. And the other thing is they have to force Miller Moss into turnovers. Michigan has to win the turnover battle in this game. If they can win the turnover battle and they can have success running the ball, that's how they win this game. Do I think that happens? I don't know, because this is a different USC defense. This isn't an Alex Grinch USC defense either. I think we're misremembering that, where we just think USC defense, we think, oh, that is the softest defense in college football. I mean, even Fresno State could get 500 yards on that defense. this is a very different Trojan defense. I think USC wins this game. I think it's closer than what people think. I'm not going to sit here and say they win 31-7, but I think USC wins 21-14. Ben.
I think I kind of struggled with this game because I was wanting to go Michigan with my thought process being, look, this Michigan offense, it's not all that good, but this is a physical team like Utah that can beat them up. I think based off watching this LSU offense, like they didn't impress me a ton on Saturday. That makes the USC defense's performance against them a little less impressive to me. And so for that reason, I'm not going to go with a Michigan win necessarily, but I think it's low score and I think they keep it close. I would take Michigan to cover the spread. I'm going to go USC 17-14 just because I think although it's mucked up by Michigan, I think Miller Moss is one of those guys. He is going to be able to make the throws to win the game narrowly. I think Michigan, it being at the big house, that's a big factor too in keeping it close. It's just hard for me to really buy. I think Alex Orji is going to be like, give them a good different pace to their offense, but I can't buy him as a passer because I really think if he weren't a train wreck as a passer, he would be the starter this year. Unless they just wanted him to be Alex Orji and they're like, we just want you to be you. We're going to have a different quarterback to be the game manager. And I think that's Dylan's argument. That could be valid. But I just kind of feel like I can't really believe that this guy has this good arm that's going to change this offense. Like, he should have had the inside track of the job then.
Can I offer a counterpoint to that? Week 1 against Fresno State, if his arm was really that bad, then why are we trusting him goal line to throw for a touchdown? Like,
because
why
the
are we?
defense expects the run.
Yeah.
But I don't. If it was
it
that
throws the
bad,
defense off, and it's an easy throw. What
but
do
if
you mean?
it was that bad, why do you even risk that in a high leverage situation? Like, if his arm is that bad,
we see Kadarius Toney make throws. A one-off throw doesn't matter.
Against a
I don't
great
know.
team like Fresno State, too, that Michigan struggled
that's-
with.
well, Mountain West
true.
powerhouse.
Good
We were the
point.
first team to hold them to 10 points or less since 2019.
Well,
Yeah.
Dylan, I want to extend my olive branch to you because I think Michigan wins this weekend.
Ooh.
How about
You
that?
think they win?
I think it's like a 20-17 type game, just in the mucking, like in the muck. They muck it up. Alex Orji, Edwards,
20
Mullings in the
points for
backfield.
Michigan's a lot.
They might run like 55 times.
Carter, you're saying it's a lot. We don't know. We don't know. Oh no, new slate. This is new offense, new quarterback.
Kind of know.
But you don't know, right? You say you know, you don't know. You haven't seen this guy play a full game.
I mean, we saw them barely get 28 against Arkansas State. Why am I supposed to expect more against USC?
3 interceptions. We had a 30% net success rate against Arkansas State. It was the 5th highest last week, and 3 interceptions killed us. We shot ourselves in the foot. New quarterback,
Good thing
interceptions,
PFF
nothing.
has him as the 35th ranked quarterback.
Oh, just saying. Highest
turnover
PFF
margin will
ranked
be
quarterback
fixed.
ever get benched.
All right,
Say what you want. The turnover margin will be fixed with Orji at quarterback. It
Yes,
won't be
it will.
interceptions and fumbles.
Never-
But it might be 3 and outs and turnover on downs. But
Never-
it won't be interceptions.
Never would I have thought that Alex Orji would be the game manager.
Quick score predictions, Dylan.
Michigan 21, USC 17.
Ben,
USC 17, Michigan 14.
Connor.
I'm going Michigan to win 20-17. Give it to
I love
me.
it.
I've got USC 21-14. Low scoring game. I think.
Connor, we did it
Go
with
ahead.
Boston College. Why not do it with Michigan?
Why not? This is the week. We're
It's us
back.
versus
There's
the
no
world.
toxic Texas fan base out there. All the Michigan people that were in my comment section preseason, here's my olive branch.
There we go.
They're going to win this
Brother,
weekend.
the Michigan fans are way more toxic than Texas fans.
Yeah, that's
Are
right.
you serious right now?
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about this game. This is the one I'm very excited for on Saturday. We're going to see this Oklahoma team's on fraud watch. Tennessee, can they just keep murdering opponents, basically? They're a 7-point favorite on the road in Norman, Oklahoma this weekend. Look, this is the Nico, okay, can you prove it game? Because we thought that was going to be NC State, and it really didn't matter. He didn't have to do anything in the NC State game because NC State's such a bad team, and we overvalued them in the preseason. Now this is time. First true road game playing in the SEC at Oklahoma. It's going to be a crazy environment. I'm very curious to see how this game goes. Dylan, thoughts on this game?
There are a couple things at play here. Oklahoma has not looked good. And you want to talk about teams that win games and get outplayed. We can look at last week at Oklahoma had a lower net EPA than Tulane, and they still ended up winning. Even the week before against a bottom feeder Houston team, they got outplayed by them. There are two things at play. Oklahoma, I think, is the perfect time to sell. And I also think big time moment for Nico, right? You've played Chattanooga. You've played NC State. You've played Kent State, and you have impressed to this point. Now, this is the week we might actually see, can you go into an SEC away environment and prove yourself as a top dog? I want to see him make high leverage plays that matter. Not, take care of the ball, make good throws. I love Tennessee here, right? I understand I'm a Tennessee fan, but this is the perfect time to sell on an Oklahoma team it's been a house of mirrors. They've been faking everybody out. I love Tennessee here. I want to see that moment from Nico. That's what I'm looking for. I want to see 3rd and 5. You have to convert late in the game. Maybe you're up a touchdown and it's to ice the game. You're up 5 points. I want to see that from Nico, and I think we do.
Connor.
Yeah, I'm with you here, Dylan. I'm going Tennessee all the way here. I think this is a classic case of we've seen it. Say what you want about NC State, but Nico Maliava in this offense, on a national stage, standalone game in Charlotte, neutral field, waxed NC State. We saw it from the defense as well. They held NC State to a very low number of points. Say what you want about the NC State offense.
Pick 6 was the only reason they scored a touchdown.
Exactly. And so that's why I'm going Tennessee, is because we've seen it on a big stage, and we haven't seen Oklahoma against a lesser opponent put together a complete game yet. We have yet to see it. We have yet to see Oklahoma have but Tennessee did it against NC State, ACC team. They're supposed to be top half of the conference. Oklahoma has not looked convincing at all. I love Tennessee here. Their defense is ranked number 1 nationally in yards per game allowed at 127.5. I know it's 2 cupcakes and NC State, but it's still pretty impressive, because even the backups come in and they're not allowing that much. Meanwhile, Oklahoma squeaked out a win against Houston, looked bad against Tulane, and I can't fail to mention Josh Heupel coaching at his alma mater in Norman. I think that has to play a part to where he's going to have his guys ready. I think these guys are going to be ready, and I thought against NC State we would see a moment from Nico where he would be put in that position to make a play and have to either do it or not. This is that moment, and I do trust him to do it. I
love Tennessee this week.
Oh, gosh.
I love Tennessee Why would you not like Tennessee this week? It's too easy. That's the problem. That's my concern. The college game day graphic's going to say Tennessee, 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 Tennessee. The KarterKast graphic's going to say Tennessee, 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 Tennessee as well. And you're going to get these tweets from John Ewing and these people on Twitter. 95% of the bets and 95% of the money is on Tennessee to cover against Oklahoma in this game. That's the only concern I have. But guess what? We saw everybody was all over Texas against Michigan. It doesn't. I don't know if that really matters in this spot. Tennessee is just so much better than this Oklahoma team. It's simple analysis. It's very vanilla analysis, but they are. This defense is swarming. Jackson Arnold has not yet proved anything to me that he's a great quarterback. Now, I think he's great on his legs are great, but also that offensive line is a real concern for me against an elite Tennessee pass rush. He is going to be running for his life in this game. The only way I see Oklahoma winning this game is if Nico throws multiple interceptions and puts them in terrible spots. That is the only way. Tennessee's ran for over 1,000 yards in 3 games. 1,000 yards in 3 games. They're averaging over 300 rush yards per game right now. This is crazy stuff we're seeing from Tennessee. If they're a real national title contender, they have to come in and make a statement in this game and win by double digits.
Question real quick. You're anti-Dylan Gabriel. You're anti-Dylan Wilkerson. Are you anti-Dylan Sampson?
Absolutely not.
Just making sure it wasn't a name thing. Just making sure.
He's fantastic.
The one thing we got to be careful of before Ben goes is Oklahoma's only been a home dog once this century. 2016 lost to Ohio State. That's it. So
yeah, they're playing in the Big 12 though.
Yeah, true. I guess that's the answer I was looking for.
All right, Ben. You're going Tennessee, aren't you?
Better coach, better quarterback, better defense. They're pretty much better everywhere. Oklahoma offensive line with a quarterback I don't trust versus an elite defense, specifically an elite pass rush. Brent Venables has not proved to me that as a head coach, he's going to coach his way to a win here. I mean, I guess he did against Texas last year, but I didn't think the gap between Texas and Oklahoma was all that big. Texas was a better team last year, but not to a point that Oklahoma couldn't overcome it with a better coaching performance. I just don't see it. There's the motivational, part with Heupel. I think he's a better coach than Brent Venables anyway. Nico's better than Jackson Arnold. Oklahoma offensive line stinks. The Tennessee defense is great. I'm just not going to overthink this. I think Tennessee blows them out.
Mom's not going to be happy. She did not want you guys on Tennessee.
Well, guess what?
I'm a Knoxville resident. I'm allowed to flip flop. Come on, I get some leeway here.
All of a sudden we're all of a sudden allowed to flip flop.
Kamala Connor.
Okay.
Yeah, Kamala Connor. Well, hey, welcome to the
Taking
club,
the page out
Connor.
of Carter's book.
Welcome to the club. What can be unburdened by what has been, Connor? Backwards ribbons for you. How about that? All right, let's just do score predictions then, Dylan.
I go Tennessee 34, Oklahoma 14.
Ben.
Tennessee 41, Oklahoma 13.
Wow.
They'll
Connor.
crush them.
I'm going to go Tennessee 27, Oklahoma 17. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than what you guys insinuate, but I love the under here. I'm
going Tennessee 31, Oklahoma 17. I think it's a 2-touchdown game right there.
So what I'm hearing is 57.5 is too many points from all of us. That's what I'm hearing.
I don't
don't
see
know.
how Oklahoma scores.
No,
Yeah.
but that's my concern is Tennessee might score 50 on their own.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm not touching the Tennessee total. I'm not touching any Tennessee unders this season because that Tennessee over saved us in that NC State game.
They don't let up. They do not let up.
And also, let's see here. Let's go. Oklahoma State, Utah. Let's do this. This game I'm very excited for. Game is in Stillwater. We finally get to see Utah tested now. We've seen Oklahoma. They've had a tricky schedule, honestly, to start with South Dakota State, Arkansas, and Tulsa's not a very good football team, but they're 3-0. They somehow got out of that 3-0. Utah, Cam Rising cannot stay healthy to save his life, whether it's his hand, his knee, whatever it may be. Cam Rising can't stay healthy. He is going to play in this game. He is going to start against the Oklahoma State Sooners. Will he make it through the whole game? We'll see. Game is in Stillwater. I believe last time I checked, Utah's a 1.5-point favorite in this game.
Yeah, I've seen 2.5 in a couple places too.
Yeah, I'll start off here. Oklahoma State's winning this football game against the Utah Utes. They are. And there's for one reason. One, Ollie Gordon hasn't had to do a lot yet. Ollie Gordon's been kind of put in the garage being like, hey, man, we're going to save you for conference play a little bit. He's going to be unleashed in this game. And what people are overlooking right now is this Utah defense is not the same Utah defense of the past. This isn't a lockdown. We're going to hold the team to 3-0 points. This Utah defense was getting diced up by Bryson Barnes, who is a bad quarterback at Utah State. Oklahoma State's going to have a lot of success on the ground. Alan Bowman's going to have to make easy throws. This Utah defense is not as good as people think. Cam Rising playing, this is a different team with Cam Rising. I understand that. But I think Oklahoma just has too much success on the ground, and they win this game in Stillwater. Utah's first time in the Big 12 going on the road.
I agree.
You agree?
I agree. I'll go next, yeah. So I'll keep this short. Cam Rising playing was the number one factor here. Even if he does play, is he going to be fully healthy? I'm not entirely sure, like you said. Ollie Gordon was my number one point, Carter. I'm mad you took it. He was rushing the ball 25, 30 times a game last year for a long stretch for Oklahoma State. He's only rushed the ball 17 times each the last 2 weeks. They haven't really needed him to come out and do that. Hasn't been part of the game plan.
Yeah, and I was at Big 12 Media Days, and Mike Gundy goes, yeah, his punishment for the DUI is he's going to run 50 times a game. We've yet to see that.
Well, this is the week it gets unleashed. He's had less than 50 yards rushing the last 2 games. I think he has a huge game against this Utah defense, and I like them to cover at 2.5. I think Oklahoma State wins. I do. I'm high on this Oklahoma State team. I don't think Alan Bowman's going to be asked to do too much, so hopefully not for our sake, but I like Oklahoma State here.
Dylan doesn't seem pleased.
No, absolutely not. You could give me Cam Rising missing 4 fingers and 2 toes, and he's a better quarterback than Alan Bowman. And I understand your guys' point is that Alan Bowman isn't going to have to do anything. But you mentioned Utah's defense, and I think I can concede a little bit that the defense is not what we had seen the last 2 years from Utah. But there's nothing to get excited about this Oklahoma State defense either. I don't see the path for Oklahoma State, huh?
We're saying over.
Ooh,
I'm going Utah. I'm going Utah.
Worse, Dylan.
I have faith in my guy Cam Rising. This Oklahoma State defense, I'm not a fan of. Ollie Gordon, a great back. We haven't seen a lot from him. Maybe he gets unleashed this game, but Cam Rising, better quarterback. I don't believe in this Oklahoma State offensive line either. I love Utah here. I'm going Utah.
Ben.
I'm going Utah here too, because I know you guys are making the point that Ollie Gordon hasn't had to do a ton, but when he does get the ball, he isn't doing a ton.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a few games where it's like 17 carries for 41 yards or 45 yards. Like, I think that I'm spitballing, but I'm pretty sure that's like the Tulsa game and the Arkansas game. Like, I think they wanted to run the ball more effectively than that. Like, I don't think it's by design that they're not. I just need to see, like, you guys could totally be right. Ollie Gordon might get 25 carries for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I'll go, you know what? Fair. Maybe they're just holding him back for this moment. But they've been kind of shaky so far. They haven't been bad, but a little shaky. Utah's a team that they just win in these spots. Like, I'm a BYU fan. I don't like Utah, but a healthy Cam Rising Utah team, they win these games. That's just what they do. I like Utah in a very close one, but wouldn't be surprised to see Oklahoma State win. But I'm going Utah just because I haven't seen Ollie Gordon break out this year, and I'm not sure if that's by design. I tend to think it's not.
But I think the other thing is, we talked about this going into the Boston College game, is at least Oklahoma State's been battle-tested. They've played a real opponent. They had to play
definitely
Arkansas.
been tested. Yeah.
They've definitely been tested. But that Arkansas game, they've been through the ringer. They understand what it's like to be in a close game like that. Utah's had a cupcake to start this year. And also, Cam Rising's only been able to play, 5 quarters of football?
And let's not put too much stock in that Utah performance against Baylor, the defensively wise. Like, DeQuan Finn, I don't know.
Yeah, come on now. Baylor's a good team. Baylor's a good team.
These best players from Utah, I mean, they were playing these tight college football games like 8 years ago.
That is
Got to
true.
keep that in mind. Cam Rising, Brent Keithy, like they're like we're playing against USC 7 years ago in
They're in the BCS
2020. Yeah, no, like I just think Utah, like this is going to be a culture win for Utah. They're a total culture team. I'm going Utah just because I think Mike Gundy. I think we get another Mike Gundy disappointment here in this spot.
Score predictions: Utah, Oklahoma State. Dylan.
I'll go Utah 21, Oklahoma State 17.
Ben.
I'll go Utah 24, Oklahoma State 23.
Connor.
I like Oklahoma State here. I'm going to go Cowboys 27, Utah 20.
Touchdown win. Okay. I got Oklahoma State winning 28-27 against Utah. I think this Utah defense is fake. I don't think they're as good as people think they are. All right, real quick. Other games we were going to touch on a little bit more, but we're running out of time here. Kansas State minus 7.5 against BYU in this one. Interesting spot for Kansas State. They're sneaky on upset watch this week. Game in Provo, 10:30 Eastern kickoff, 8:30 Mountain Time kickoff. Watch out for that game this weekend. NC State is a 20-point underdog to Clemson. CJ Bailey playing in this spot. Connor, this is a disaster. I honestly think CJ Bailey might be better than Grayson McCall, though.
Yeah, it's a disaster for all our takes preseason with Grayson McCall. But here's the thing. CJ Bailey, first ever start, true freshman in Death Valley. He might be good. He might be better than Grayson McCall. This is not the week to back NC State.
Against that
this is not the week to do it.
That NC State offensive line against this Clemson defense, they're cooked.
Well, Clemson came out after the Georgia game with a 66-20 thrashing of App State, 35-0 in the first quarter. They wanted to prove a point. They're motivated. The ACC is still wide open. This is not the week for NC State. I think Clemson rolls here.
ACC still wide open, and the playoff is still wide open.
Yep.
So Clemson's going nowhere.
They
right
know that.
now. And then we'll close up shop here. Week 4. What week are we in? Week 4.
College football, week 4.
Week 4 parlay. Dylan, what's your pick?
I think you can do this. Oklahoma team total under 24.5.
Connor.
Yeah, I'll go here. I'm going to go parlay pick. Two of our favorite darlings from the preseason, Boston College, Michigan State, are facing off this weekend.
Ooh.
And you know what happens when two teams that I was high on play each other? I blindly take the over. Here we go. We're going to go Boston College, Michigan State, over 45.5. Let's get it. Let's get some points.
If we're allowed to do this, I have 2 picks here. Kent State over 6.5 team total.
I love it.
Oh, we are reaching now. We are reaching
Penn
far.
State,
I know
right?
the parlay hadn't been great this year.
Yeah, Kent State just needs to score a touchdown.
That's
Ben.
hilarious.
I'm going to go Illinois plus 9.5 against Nebraska. I like Nebraska. I think they're a good team. I love Dylan Raiola. I think they've got a good defense. But Brett Bielema, this is a sneaky good Illinois team. I think Nebraska still wins at home, but I think Illinois is able to make it like a one-possession game, maybe field goal or touchdown win for Nebraska. But I don't see Nebraska win by double digits, so I'm gonna go with Illinois.
That's it for the episode. That's it for the KarterKast Parlay. Make sure to go take it. Tail us. This is the one that we're going to actually hit this week. Make sure to follow us. If you like the episode, make sure to subscribe. Right below, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Spotify. Subscribe on Apple. Rate, review. Make sure to tune in. We're live every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, doing NFL and college football content all season long. Follow us on all social media at KarterKast on everything. Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much for listening. Download the SeatGeek app. Use code KarterKast. $20 off your first purchase. And then we'll see y'all tomorrow, actually, for the NFL preview. Bye-bye.